It's amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where did these people come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So it's incredible.
Jessica Pegula just claimed the Dubai Tennis Championships title and walked straight into a press conference where a reporter brought up Alex Eala. What followed wasn't the usual polished, carefully diplomatic answer you'd expect from a player watching her words. It was refreshingly candid, and Filipino fans who caught it are absolutely buzzing. So after hearing what Jessica Pegula had to say about Alex Eala and her passionate supporters, do you think the rest of the WTA Tour is finally giving the Filipino fan base the recognition it deserves in women's tennis? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
I think it was Eala is the match that I was looking at, and there was people like wrapped around the stadium just trying to get in, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, it's cool to see and it's exciting, but obviously, for fan experience, I don't know because I'm not living that same experience. But hopefully, the event kind of continues to grow with the fans that we're getting and making that still an enjoyable experience for them. But I did see some of the courts have like lines getting in and it seems really busy. And I saw some reports that it's some of their busiest they've ever been and it's packed and, all that, which is, I think, great. I mean, obviously it shows that the event is growing, the sport is growing, and that's, amazing. I think
Let's start with who Jessica Pegula is in this conversation, because it matters for understanding why her words carry so much weight. Pegula is not someone watching Alex Eala from a distance and forming opinions based on highlight clips or social media hype. She has played her. In fact, Pegula was the player who ended Eala's incredible run at the Miami Open in 2025. And that run was the moment the tennis world truly began paying attention. During that tournament, Eala defeated a series of major names, including Jelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and Iga Swiatek, back-to-back. Those victories were not flukes. They were statements. By the time Pegula stopped her in the semifinals, Eala had already announced herself to the tennis world in a way that nobody could dismiss. So when Pegula talks about Eala today, she's not speculating. She knows exactly what it feels like to be on the other side of the net. Pegula's words in Dubai after Pegula won the final at the Dubai Tennis Championships. She spoke about Eala in a press conference. What she said was surprisingly direct. Her opening words were simple. Alex is amazing. Not she's promising. Not she had a good run. Amazing. Then Pegula started talking about something that has become impossible for players to ignore. The crowds. She mentioned the way Eala fills stadiums and the way Filipino fans support her everywhere she plays. She described it as something special. But then Pegula shared a personal memory that revealed just how unusual the situation really is. The Miami crowd moment. Pegula recalled the match she played against Eala during that breakthrough run in Miami. And she said something you almost never hear from a player talking about a match they actually won. She said the entire crowd was against her. Think about that for a moment. Pegula is an American player. The match was happening in Miami. And yet she said she felt like the visiting player. Why? Because the Filipino fans had completely taken over the stadium. Pegula even described standing on the court thinking, where did all these people come from? It wasn't criticism. It was genuine surprise. And it revealed something important. The hidden power of the Filipino fan base. The fans didn't suddenly appear out of nowhere. They were already there. Cities like Miami, Los Angeles, New York, Melbourne, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi all have large Filipino communities. For years, those communities simply didn't have a tennis player to rally behind at the highest level. Then Alex Eala arrived. Once she started winning matches against top players and making deep runs in major tournaments, that fan base activated almost instantly. What Pegula experienced in Miami wasn't random. It was the beginning of a global movement. Pegula noticed it again in Dubai. Pegula said something else that perfectly illustrates the scale of the phenomenon. She mentioned that you could hear Eala's fans from the hotel. Not from the court. From the hotel rooms where players were staying. Imagine being a player preparing for your match, lying in your room, and hearing thousands of fans chanting for your next opponent outside the venue. That's the kind of atmosphere Eala is generating right now. And it's happening in multiple countries. Other tournaments are seeing it too. The pattern keeps repeating. At the Australian Open, crowds gathered around Eala's matches on outside courts to the point that organizers had to manage the congestion. At the Dubai Tennis Championships, tournament officials said every one of her matches sold out. And now at the Indian Wells Open, fans have been crowding the practice courts just to watch her train. This isn't typical for a player ranked outside the top 10. Something entirely different. Pegula's respect for Eala. But Pegula didn't just talk about the fans. She also talked about the person behind the attention. She praised the way Eala handles the pressure. According to Pegula, Eala deals with the spotlight with maturity and grace, despite the enormous expectations placed on her. And those expectations are huge. Every time she steps on a court, she is representing an entire nation. The Philippines has never had a global tennis star on this level before, so the attention is massive. Yet Eala consistently comes across as calm, appreciative, and grounded. Other players are saying the same thing. Pegula isn't the only player noticing it. Coco Gauff has praised the energy of the Filipino fans. Amanda Anisimova has talked about the atmosphere around Eala's matches as well. When multiple top players independently mention the same player and the same fan base, it's not coincidence. It means something real is happening on tour. Players feel it. They hear it. They see it everywhere they go. The business side is catching up. There is also a commercial side to this story. Brands are reportedly starting to notice the scale of Eala's popularity. From a marketing perspective, she represents something extremely valuable. A young star, a rapidly growing global fan base, and a connection to Southeast Asia's massive sports audience. For companies looking to reach the Filipino market or the broader Asian audience, that combination is incredibly powerful. And she's only 20. Perhaps the most important detail in all of this is her age. Eala is still just 20 years old. Her ranking has already climbed into the top 30, and she's still improving. If she continues to go deep in major tournaments like Indian Wells and the Miami Open, her ranking could rise even further. That changes everything. Higher rankings mean better seedings. Better seedings mean easier early round matchups at Grand Slams. And that opens the door to deeper runs on the biggest stages in tennis. Why Pegula's words matter. That's why Pegula's comments carry so much weight. They come from someone who experienced the moment that started this entire phenomenon. She stood on the court in Miami surrounded by thousands of Filipino fans. She felt what it was like to face Eala in the middle of that energy. When she asked, "Where did all these people come from?" she wasn't really confused. She was recognizing something. The arrival of a global fan base that had simply been waiting for the right player. The fans were always there. Alex Eala gave them a reason to show up. And now the entire tennis world is starting to see it. If you want, I can also help you turn this into a 15-minute viral YouTube script, a high CTR YouTube titles for this topic, thumbnail text ideas that get more clicks. Tennis.